Hi there, my name's JD, and we're back to another episode of Weekly Update Wednesday. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to warmly welcome all the new patrons and also to thank you for all the existing ones. Your contribution and your support and your monthly subscriptions really helps support the channel and really helps keep me going, right? Especially in these trying times that we are living in. Thank you very much. And as promised, for those of you who signed up to the direct access or VIP access tier, this will be heading out to you really soon, right? The limited edition copy of the Project EAR's album, right? On real physical CD, super limited. It's gonna be going out in the mail after you. It's gonna be going out in the mail to you after Raya. Okay. Now, speaking of Raya season, it's been a crazy past 1 or 2 weeks. So as you all know, we have now gone into the Conditional Movement Control Order (CMCO) phase, and we've been operating back and been incredibly busy these past 1-2 weeks. So because of all the projects that have been put on hold because of the MCO, suddenly the floodgates are all open when all the clients and everything are rushing to record and have their songs put out and recorded and mixed and ready before the Raya deadline, which is this weekend actually, right? So it's been super crazy these past 2 weeks. So unfortunately, this meant that we did not have an episode of MixStream last week. So really sorry for those of you who have been looking forward to it. However, what I managed to do instead, instead of doing a mix stream, I did a live Q&A on Facebook, right, on the Studio 2105 Facebook page, and it's really cool. A lot of you joined in, and we just had a casual chat, and then we had some Q&A sessions, right? And speaking of which, I'm going to be answering some of the questions later right here on this video. Okay, so there was also no song breakdown this Monday. Again, unfortunately, couldn't do it in time. But I actually have a bonus video for you. Actually, I shot and recorded and edited a video about something that happened with this little baby here, the iLok. Okay, so basically, well, actually the real iLok is inside here. It's packaged this and I'm about to send it off. So basically what happened was the iLok died just like 2 days before I was supposed to do the MixStream episode for An Honest Mistake, alright? So 2 days before, and inside here I have all the licenses for a lot of the plugins, and so it's like panic mode lah, alright? So, so as you can imagine, whole world is under lockdown, and if you want to do the usual turnaround time, to get this process and to get back a replacement unit from iLok all the way in the US is 2 weeks. And look, in the global situation that we are in now, there's no way that you could get it back in 2 weeks. So I actually found a workaround, right? But I won't spoil it. Go and watch the video. I'll leave the link down in the description to find out how I managed to thankfully get this up and running again. Okay, so go check out the video in the description. Alright, in other news, for those of you who've sort of followed the studio activities over the years, know that I've been doing the program called the Direct Access Music Production Workshop, of which of course MixStream is derived from that. Okay, so it was a workshop, hands-on workshop that I do right here in the studio. Usually I do it every once a year, right? So it's a 6-week long program. You get to come into the studio, you get to watch me, how I work, how I produce a song from scratch, right, all the way from the demo all the way until the finished master. And in 2019, last year, the band which I featured was a band called Roselithe, right? So very cool band. I was really impressed with their song, with their demo which they sent me, and so I selected them, and they were the ones chosen to be featured in the Direct Access Music Production Workshop. So out of the workshop, I produced and recorded and mixed their single, and that single was just released last week on Friday. The title of the single is called Ocean's Lullaby. You can check it out on all the major digital streaming platforms: Spotify, Joox, iTunes, Apple Music, all out there. You can go and check it out, go and stream the song and listen to how it sounds, okay? I'll leave the link again down in the description. Now, a little bit of bonus material as well. I also interviewed the guitarist and the drummer from the band, all right, Nawi and Najmi. We recorded an episode of the song breakdown on their song Ocean's Lullaby. So that's gonna come up pretty soon. Hopefully it's gonna be out this coming Monday. Fingers crossed, okay, if I can get all the Raya deadlines and mixes out of the way, plus as well as editing the video, okay, all right. Hopefully it'll be out by Monday, so do check it out, okay? Stand by and stay tuned for updates. So this week's feature of MixStream is going to be a band called Dewata Raya, and incidentally, these are the same band members, right, who are also in Roselithe, except they are playing and taking on different roles in this band. So check it out this Friday 9 p.m. The next installment of the Direct Access MixStream is going to be out. Come on and join us at the Studio 21 Neo 5 YouTube channel right here. Join with the chat. The band would be in the chat as well, so stay tuned, right? Please do join us and check out and find out how I'm gonna mix Dewata Raya's brand new single. Okay, cool. So time for questions and Q&A. Question 1. I would like to ask about UAD plugins. What are the advantages or disadvantages, if there are any? So UAD, which is Universal Audio for short, really made waves in the audio industry, I think early 2000s, because when they introduced their UAD powered plugins. Basically, they were the pioneers in recreating and modeling classic and highly sought after studio hardware, right, and putting it into a plugin form, right? Studio hardware such as the Teletronics LA2A, the 1176 compressor, which I have one unit right here, right? Fairchild compressor. So they made all of these highly sought after, highly desirable, and sometimes very expensive hardware units, and it made it into a plugin. What they did was that they made very accurate recreations of all these hardware units, and now we could be able to sort of access and get the sound of these classic and legendary hardware units, but in a plugin form. So UAD runs on their DSP chips, right? They runs on their proprietary DSP chips, right? Which is either on a PCIe card, or nowadays the newer ones they have outboard, so it runs either on Thunderbolt, and it's also built into their Apollo interfaces, right? So it basically runs on your own DSP chip, so it does not take up any of your native CPU processing power. Another advantage about UAD plugins is that they make really high quality and great sounding plugins. Okay, however, there are some kind of disadvantages, okay? Now that, we are kind of coming into like almost 2 decades plus of working in the digital audio, right? Digital realm is the norm right now. So native CPU processing power has grown by leaps and bounds from what it was back in the earlier days. So UAD, in my opinion, right? Yes, really great sounding plugins, awesome plugins. And back in the day, when your CPU didn't have that much power, didn't really have much juice, having their DSP chips really provided, a lot of processing power that was necessary to run all these high quality plugins, you see. But now, come 2020, right, CPU processing power is so much better now. It's get to a point where a lot of the powerful plugins from, let's say, other plugin manufacturers, plugin developers, are running fine and running great. CPU power is really not an issue nowadays in 2020. I own UAD plugins, right? I have like 2 UAD cards in my system, but I also run a lot of native plugins as well, right? Wave, Slate Digital, Plugin Alliance plugins, and many other third-party plugins. And to be honest, I found myself using less and less of UAD plugins nowadays. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not that they are bad sounding or inferior in any way. They are still great sounding plugins. But it's just that nowadays, again, back to the point of processing power that's available on a native CPU, it seems to kind of sort of make the idea of having to use dedicated DSP chips, it's making it a little bit obsolete, right? So it's not only my opinion, it's opinion of quite a number of audio professionals. They kind of see that DSP, proprietary DSP chips are it's a technology that's kind of heading down into a dead end. Having said that, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense, right? If you are someone who is choosing to work inside the UAD environment, like, so for example, if you are using UAD Apollo interfaces, they have their technology, which is their Unison technology, which is I'm not entirely familiar with, but their integration with their hardware and their software, their plugins, is fantastic. And if I'm not mistaken, and also UAD have also launched their own DAW, which is called Luna, right? You can go check it out. It's free for all UAD Apollo owners, if I'm not mistaken. But at this point in time, I believe it's only available for the Mac operating system. Hopefully, PC owners will be able to get a version of the Luna soon, and if it does, hopefully I'll get a chance to try it and kind of review the operating system. All right, so those are the advantages and the disadvantages. So a little bit pricey for what they do compared to what native plugins that are being developed by other developers. Especially nowadays, right? A lot of the other developers are their business model is running on a subscription basis. I find it a little bit hard to be spending that amount of money on buying and purchasing a UAD dedicated DSP chips when I can get so much bang for my buck from native CPU plugins. But that's just my opinion, right? So go and check it out if you like it, right? Go down the road. They're great sounding plugins and very high quality. All right, on to the next question. I'm new at DIY home recording, just doing guitar covers on YouTube. Could you suggest a pair of budget monitoring headphones? Right, this question came during the FB live session I had last week, but I thought I'd share it here in this video so that you guys watching this can also know what I think anyway. So let me do a little bit of show and tell. So headphones are very subjective, right? So there's so many choices out there in the market across different price ranges, ranging from the budget, all the way to the mid-range, to the pro, professional, all the way to the esoteric audiophile range, right? Which is kind of beyond the scope of not only the question, but beyond the scope of what I'm interested in anyway. Okay, so now, because it's so subjective, I can't really list out all the possible ones, but I'll just share with you what I think would be the best value for money when it comes to a budget monitoring headphones. Okay, and what I have right here, this is the Audio Technica M30. Okay, so for me, I personally think that if you are on a budget and you are starting off, this would be the best value for money choice that you want to go for. It's only like 200 plus bucks, right? 200 plus ringgit. not expensive at all, you know. Really great sound. Okay, so the isolation from this is not as good as some of the higher end models, but you know, that's what you can get from an affordable sort of a budget price range headphone. There's also the slightly higher range. There's the M35, there's the M40, which is, you know, slightly more expensive, right? But for me, this would be what I would get if you are on a budget. Great sound, fairly okay isolation, but though not fantastic, and you know, it won't break the bank, so to speak. Now, if you can, of course, right, afford to spend a little bit more money, right, what I would highly recommend, and this headphone here, right, pretty much ends up on almost everyone's top 3 list of like their favorite or best monitoring headphones. So this is the bigger brother, right? This is the Audio-Technica M50, right? So what I have here, this is the new one. This is the M50X, you know, which has the detachable cable, really handy for storage, right? So the M50, really, I would say it's arguably the best bang for buck headphone in its price range. In fact, in any price range. So you see this a lot in a lot of studios, recording studios, you know, because they use this because it's very comfortable, right? It's fairly comfortable. It's really good sounding, right? Slightly hyped, right, in terms of its frequency response, you know, but you know, most of the headphones are somewhat hyped in one way or another. But great bang for buck. I think, you know, retail is probably gonna go for about 600-700 ringgit. But if you kind of hunt around for the deals, you pretty much that you can see that they go on for sale for a lot lower. So check out the Audio-Technica M50s, right? This would be the next step up, right? And this would really serve you and last you a lifetime if you take good care of it. Now, if you want to be flex a little bit, you know, you want to step it up another notch, right? Especially in terms of comfort. Okay, this here is the Beyerdynamic DT990 Pro. Okay, so there's also the equivalent model called the DT770. But what's the difference between the two? The DT990, as you can see by the grill design here, this is an open backed headphone. So what does open back mean? Open back means that, you know, the headphone cups, right, are not sealed, as you can see by the design here, which means that sound that's being produced by the transducers inside the headphones, sound can actually leak out, right? Likewise, sound also leaks in, right? So that you can actually kind of hear your surroundings, what's happening in the surroundings, right? While you're wearing these headphones. So this means that these are not going to be suitable if you need to be recording with isolation, for example, right? Because firstly, the sound is going to be leaking out, right? If you're recording vocals, for instance, right, or recording any sort of instrument, right? Sound's going to be leaking out, and it's going to be picked up by the microphone that you're using. Likewise, right, sound that's coming from outside is going to be leaking in, so you might be hearing a lot of the external, especially if you're working with loud instruments, maybe guitar amps or drums. So it's not going to be suitable for, you know, every situation, right? But these are great for monitoring. I love to use this I love to mix on this. I love to listen to music on these, and they are super comfortable because they are, you know, their ear pads are made from a velour material, super soft. You can wear them for hours and hours. You know, I like to wear these when I'm taking, let's say, a power nap, when listening to binaural beats. I'll talk about that in another topic, right? Binaural beats on another day, right? So I love to wear these as well. Okay, so these are of course going to be a little bit more, slightly more expensive, right? These are going to start to reach into the 800-900 ringgit, sub 1k ringgit price range. So it might not be considered budget lah, but if you can afford it, you know, and if you want to splurge a little bit more, spoil yourself a little bit, go and get a pair of these as well, right? You can consider. Now, there's one more thing which you can also consider, all right, if you are looking for headphones for monitoring, and these are isolation headphones. So if you are going to look for, be in a situation where you really sort of need to isolate the external noises, right, from sort of leaking into your headphones, and likewise you want to really isolate, if you are someone who turns out likes to monitor loud, you want to reduce the spill and the leakage that's coming out from the headphone. These are what you can look at. So these are direct sound extreme isolation headphones, right? So the model number is called the EX29, right? So these are isolation headphones. So the way that they're designed, as you can see, right, they're very thick and pretty meaty isolation, the headphone cups on either side. And what these do is they can probably, as the name implies, they give you an isolation of almost up to 29 dB. So that's a lot, right? So direct sound, these were not the first isolation headphones they were made, right? There were other previous brands as well, all right? The one that used to be very famous, that was very widely used, was the one by Vic Firth, right? So yeah, as you can tell, Vic Firth being a drum product company, made those for drummers, especially right if they were practicing or if they were recording in a very loud situation, a loud environment with a loud instrument such as the drums, right? They use this to sort of protect their hearing, right? Unfortunately, they had a very bad reputation of, due to the nature of their design, they sounded really crappy, really bad sound. It's all mid-range. There's like no low end, no high, so it's a kind of a compromise in terms of how it sounded until right these guys came out, right? So I'm very happy to say that when the extreme isolation headphones came out, they were the first ones to make isolation headphones that didn't sound crappy, right? Granted, right, it's still not as full range, full frequency range as, let's say, the other headphones that I have here that I showed you, but at least it didn't sound that bad. You had some bass, you had some low end in it, and you had some high end. It wasn't some super annoying it wasn't so annoying and irritating to listen to lah. But this is again another one that you can check out. These though again are a little bit pricey. When I first got these many years ago, they were still relatively cheap, but unfortunately over the years the prices of these has kind of gone up, right? So this is like an old model. They do have much newer models and better looking models now. This is like, this is a bit worn, a little bit worse for wear already, because I've been using it in the studio. But this is again something that you can check out if you do need something that gives you good isolation, right? So isolation headphones. Hope that answers your question. And if you have any more questions about headphones, please leave them down or get in touch with me. Question 3: is it wrong to master your own mixes? Ooh, this is a rather contentious question here, right? So let me just start by saying that it is definitely not wrong to master your own mixes, okay? We're making music, we're making art. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no rules or regulations that say that you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to do everything, or you have to do this a certain way and a certain way only. There's no right or wrong, okay? In the end result is, if it sounds good, it sounds good, right? However, what I would like to say, right, is that it is definitely not easy to put yourself in the proper and the right mindset to sort of master your own mixes. Now, how am I going to put this? You see, throughout the entire process, of, let's say, song production, right, from your writing, your songwriting, right up to the arrangement, your pre-production, the recording session, every step of the way, we are always trying to do our best. We're trying to write the best song that we can. We try to write the best lyrics that we can. We try to work out and put out the best song arrangement, the best music arrangement that we can. We go into the studio, we try and get the best recording that we can, right? We try and use the best gear that we have available, try and get the best engineers, the best sounding rooms, best techniques to try and get the best sound. And then we send it for mixing. We go to a mixing engineer, or if you are mixing it yourself, right? And we try to get the best mix that we can, best sounding mix as possible. Now, since we've already, tried all along the stages, or all the different stages of the process, trying to get it sounding the best that we can to our ability, how are we supposed to make it sound better than our best? I hope you get what I mean, because let's say, you've already mixed it to sound to your ears the best of your ability. How are you supposed to put it through another stage of mastering, right, to sort of improve it, right? It's already the best sounding that you've made it. How are you going to make the best sounding thing sound better? So the logic is not there, right? Okay. Now, having said that, it's not to say that it's impossible to do it, right? It's just a matter of your mindset. So what I do recommend is that if you end up trying to master your own mixes, you should always give it a bit of time, right? So give it a couple of days, at least, or even a longer time period. Break. You need to have a break. Your brain and your ears need to have a break from listening to the mix, right? So that you're able to approach it from a purely objective and unbiased point of view. Then maybe when you're coming from that, you'll be able to kind of spot and see where you need to make the corrections, or where you need what's necessary treatment or processing that you need to do in the mastering stage. But then again, I would argue, if you needed to do all that, right, all those adjustments, that you sort of do when you are mastering it, wouldn't it have been better served to go back into the mix and make those tweaks anyway? If you needed to add a little bit more low end, if you needed to EQ something, or you needed to compress something a little bit more, it goes back to doing it, going back into the mixing session, into the mixing project, and making your changes and your adjustments there. And the end result is always going to be much better when you go into your mix and you deal with the issues or the problems that you find, instead of leaving it for the mastering stage, right? So, the joke always goes like, okay, we fix it in the mix. It used to be the joke, okay, we fix it in the mix. And now the next thing in the stage, the evolution of that is, okay, we fix it in the mastering. Now come into the 21st century, right? The joke that we put it out, that we always that I like to repeat, is that nowadays we fix it in the marketing. Okay, all right. So now let me cite you other examples. If you kind of ask and you look at all the interviews, go and watch all the interviews of all the top mixing engineers and producers in the world, I would say 90% of them never master their own mixes, right? They would always send it out to a mastering engineer, right? And if the best mixing engineers in the world do that, right, they find that they still rely on another pair of ears to do the mastering work. Why not us? How about us? We mere noobs and mere mortals here, right? That are trying to do this, right? So just something for you to consider, right? Again, it's my opinion. If you disagree, if you have a different opinion on this matter, let me know. Let me know your thoughts and your ideas down in the comment section down below, right? Another benefit I can think of, right, of why I would prefer working with a mastering engineer is that when you work with a mastering engineer, there's also one more additional benefit, and that's the benefit of having that feedback loop with a mastering engineer. So when I work with a mastering engineer, right, with I'm familiar with, say for example, Cielto or Nick Lee, all right, two guys who I usually work with, I get a lot of feedback and I learn a lot of things from their feedback. So, for example, when let's say if I send a mix over to one of the mastering engineers, which I mentioned, right? Maybe I get back a feedback or comment, hey, your sub or your low end, tends to be a little bit boomy, or you have a certain problematic frequency at about 140 hertz, for example, that's kind of showing up in your mixes. It makes me go, aha, okay, right. So I know that I have some shortcomings, or maybe the way of my monitoring environment here in the studio, it's not perfect, and so I'm ending up having a little bit too much low end, a little bit too much 140 hertz, right? Or maybe too much top end or too bright or something like that, right? So maybe I'm having too much of that, and I know I've learned, and I've gotten that feedback, and I've gotten that feedback from the mastering engineer. So that is something which I think, right, is often overlooked, and you learn so much from working with another mastering engineer, because they have, first of all, much better ears, because they really specialize in doing the job. They have much better equipment. They have much better and much more accurate listening environment in which for them to do their mastering. So there's great value in working with a mastering engineer, just besides beyond just getting back a good sounding master, right? So it helps me improve as a mixer. It helps me because they make me aware, and they make me realize what are the sort of the shortcomings, or what are the kind of the mistakes that I sort of tend to make over and over again. They point it out, and then I learn right from those mistakes. All right. So that's my opinion. Again, right? You may disagree, or you may have a differing opinion. It is a controversial and a contentious subject amongst some people, especially those in kind of the DIY, coming from a DIY background. Okay, right? So there are some valid points, and if you have your own ideas, your own opinions, leave them down in the comments below. All right, that brings us to the end of this week's Q&A session. Thank you very much for watching, and as usual, leave your questions, your comments down below, okay? Now I'll answer in next week's episode of Weekly Update Wednesday. Do check out the iLok video, alright, which I'm going to put the description down below once again. Do check it out to find out what happened, right, during that little disaster that I went through. Join me, okay, and the band Dewata Raya for this week's episode of MixStream, Friday 9 p.m. right here on this YouTube channel, okay? Well, for those who've been watching, again, thank you very much. And if you found this video informative, you found it helpful, please do leave a like, share this with your friends, and please, right, take a minute right there to click subscribe and subscribe to the channel. Remember to also go and click on that notification bell so that you're going to be getting updates every time we release and put out a new video, okay? And also, do consider signing up to become a patron, right? If you like to support the channel, if you like to support this YouTube channel directly, right, financially, sign up for as low as $3 a month. You can really help to support and help me continue make content for you guys out there. Not only that, if you sign up, as a patron, and if you include, some of the codes which I always include with each episode of MixStream, when you sign up, 50% of your pledge, right, goes to the artist that's featured in that week's episode. So, if you want to directly support a local independent band, a local independent artist directly, this is a great way which you can do. Now we can't have gigs due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we can't have gatherings, mass gatherings of people. So no shows, no concerts, no gigs, no festivals. So our local independent acts, our bands, our artists really need your help and really need your support. So if you sign up to become a patron, right, just a quote, for example, if you are supporting this band, so on, just include the code in it, and 50% of your pledge goes towards the featured artist, right? So thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again real soon. Till next time, stay safe. Remember, wash your hands frequently, take care of personal hygiene, practice all your social distancing, stay healthy and stay safe, okay? Take care. Bye.